Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over positions that we're thinking about getting into in the next crypto bear market that you may also consider when the time comes. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so the expected crypto bear market is based on the timing of the cycles supposed to happen in 2026. Again, we had one, the last one was in 2022 and then 2018. You guys know how this goes. We've gone over this literally ad nauseum forever at this point. Okay. So crypto operates on 4 year cycles. They have 3 green years. Okay. And then we have a bear market year. So the first year after the bear market year is always the recovery year. Second year is the halving year. And then the third year is the blow off top year. Okay. Then we get the bear market year. So currently we're in the halving year, the bear market year, the blow off top year is supposed to be next year. And then the bear market year is supposed to be in 2026. So the year that we're talking about here is 2026. Okay. So before I get into that, I actually want to show you guys some of the dividend announcements that we got today. So we got YMAX at 17, roughly about 17 and a half cents here. We have YMAG at 22 and a half cents. Again, YMAG has been performing a little bit better than YMAX because, again, I think part of the reason why is because of the heavy diversification of YMAX. The stock market as a whole tends to do much better, like significantly better when the Fed is printing money versus when the Fed is cutting rates. The Fed cutting rates is bullish, but it obviously becomes more exponential as they print money. So, but they do so by default by cutting rates. But once again, obviously, when the rates are at zero or pretty close to flat, that would be the best case scenario, right? For all of the stocks in this fund to go up. Plus, crypto having kind of lagged behind a little bit has been holding this one back. But eventually, when Bitcoin smashes past 74,000 and Coney and MSTY, Coinbase and MSTR go to the moon, then this will likely become much larger and the price will go up. Okay, so speaking of Coney, so we got $1.11 here per share, and then you got fiat, which is the inverse Coinbase position, $1.45. This one is just absolutely huge. So the fiat one, I'm not sure if YieldMax is going to do an inverse MSTY one at some point, but if they do, this one, the inverse Coinbase and the inverse Coney, inverse MSTY ones may be good positions to get in for passive income at the start of the bear market. And again, we'll go over that with you guys and let you know where we think the start's going to be. Okay. But just a warning here, if you guys get into these short plays at basically the start of the bear market, right around the end of next year or start of 2026, just be a little cautious with these. Again, I can't tell you guys what to do with your money, but look, we personally think that if we're going to take short positions, we have to be very, very clear, very, very sure. Okay, the trend has to be obvious. Everything has to line up pretty much at least 90% perfectly in order for us to take a short to be confident in that position. Because again, the short side risk is infinite. Okay, when you long something, you can only lose 100% of your money, which sounds bad, right? But when you short something, your loss potential is infinite. Okay, this is part of the reason why we typically don't take short positions. Why, when the Fed was cutting, we weren't taking a look at shorting positions. We were instead taking a look at something like TMF, TLT as an inverse to Fed play, because shorting is very risky. Okay, it is. You could lose 200%, you could lose 500%, you could lose 1,000%. It is extremely risky. So please be careful. All right, so MSFO futures. I will say this: futures is a different story because with futures, as long as you're not trading an expired contract, there's really no limit to how much you can long or short. And typically, we only do it on the indices. We're not doing it on individual stocks, and we do it with the market moves. We don't have the volume to move the market. It's nearly impossible to do in futures, and they are heavily regulated. But it's different there because, again, you're day trading, so you would have stops in place on every trade, so the risk isn't really infinite on a short position. All right, so MSFO 50 cents or 51 cents, roughly about that. AMDY 92 cents, NFLY almost 80 cents. That's actually really good. ABNY is 80 cents. PayPal, wow, $1.10. UTLY 82 cents. All right, so now going into the roundhill ones, and I have seen that they're supposed to do some single stock roundhill ETFs, so that should be quite interesting. I'm not sure when they're supposed to be released. Haven't looked into it. If you guys know, let me know down in the comments below, because I don't know. I've just heard that this is going to happen, but who really knows, right? So QDTE, we got 32 cents almost. Again, the X date is tomorrow. Payment date is on Friday. And then going over the next position here is XDTE. At some point, we may pick up RDTE. We didn't want to do it initially because we want to get our other positions packed first, and we're also still focused on crypto, but at some point we may. By the time we get into this, the Russell might even be back at all-time highs at about that 4250, 4280, somewhere in there. But we're thinking about it. I mean, why not? If the markets are going to all-time highs, if all the indices are at all-time highs, why not? Because again, we could be starting a brand new secular bull market after these crazy last 4 years we've had, where 2020 and 2022 did both have bear markets. So 22 cents here on XDTE, so that's pretty good. And then, of course, we have the last one here, RDTE, which has also been very good. It's actually more than the S&P and the NASDAQ. Again, the Russell is generally speaking the most volatile. I know NASDAQ's very volatile because of tech, but the Russell has the small caps. So those, because they're smaller cap, they usually move much more, which creates the volatility for this payment. So roughly about 30.5 cents here. So going over to the portfolio, we're going to just kind of show you guys the positions so you can see we have them still. So Coney, got that one, and then still got MSTY here, QDTE right there, and then XDTE, so nothing's changed. They're all still the same. Okay, so one of the first positions I want to go over is MSTU. Now, in my opinion, MicroStrategy is still not at its all-time high. There's very good reason for me to believe this because, again, MicroStrategy is it usually is much more explosive to the upside, and Bitcoin's not at all-time highs yet, in my opinion. I think the top's going to be somewhere between 140 to 220,000 realistically. I mean, it could go higher, sure, but I would say that's probably a pretty reasonable expectation. Okay, so actually I didn't want to start here. Sorry, y'all. I wanted to start on the price chart. So here's the thing I want to point out. Okay, if we're talking about getting in at the bear market lows, based on the way the bear market played out last time, the bear market low, okay, we're not talking about getting in at the start of the bear market. We're talking about actually getting into these positions at the bottom of the bear market, okay? So that's going to be right. So we had our low October 2022. So the low for the bear market of crypto could be somewhere between, I would say, maybe September to November, maybe December of 2026. Okay, so you'd have some time to prepare for this. That's when we would want to get into these positions. When it looks like Bitcoin hit its final all-time low for that bear market, that's when we want to load the boat. Okay, so MSTR on the max time frame, you can see it probably would have been way lower than this if it was around during the actual bear market, but you can see it was at $25 basically. Okay, it's currently at $50. Let's just say hypothetically for a second, because again, this is 2x, so it's probably going to go extreme one way or the other. These are already very volatile stocks in general, more volatile than NVIDIA by themselves. But if you put a 2x leverage on it, it gets stupid at that point. Okay. So let's just say, for instance, at the bear market low, this thing was at $2 a share. Okay. And it's currently at $50 a share. Well, how many shares could you get to do options? With $5,000, if it's $50 a share, you can get 100 shares. So your total investment here would be $5,000. You'd make, based on what we saw earlier, about $800 to $1,000 a month in passive income with options. That's pretty good, right? Plus you have the upside potential. Maybe MSTU goes up to like $100, $200. So you got that profit potential. But what if you took that same $5,000 and said, you know what, screw that. I'm going to wait until the bear market lows. And again, this is not something that we're looking at now. Okay, we're looking at this later in the future. We're looking at the bull market now, but we're saying, okay, we also want to capitalize on the bull market in crypto now, but we also simultaneously want to get prepared for the bear market bottom later down the road in 2026. Okay, So thinking in the now, but also thinking in the future simultaneously. So let's say, for instance, you managed to get it at $2 a share. You would get 2,500 shares. Now, I want to show you something crazy here, okay? And obviously, the price would have to increase, and the more it increases from the bear market lows, the more premiums you would get. But I just want to show you just how insane this would get. Okay, so from $2 to $50, you're already getting a 25x on your money. Okay, so basically, yeah, $2 to $50 is, yeah, that's 25x. So if you do a 25x on 5,000 just to get right around the current prices you're at, you're sitting on $125,000 or $120,000 in profit. But here's where it really gets stupid. Okay, and again, this does not include MSTU being at all-time highs, maybe 100, 200, something like that. But if you had the 2,500 shares, and again, for a crypto related options play, I'd be looking at something between a 20 to a 30 delta. 30 is kind of more along the lines of volatile tech like NVIDIA and stuff like that. And then the dividend stocks are kind of 30 to 40, somewhere in there. But you can see even the highest price here a month out is still a 35 delta. Okay. But I just want to show you guys this, for example. So let's say, for instance, instead of having just one contract's worth, you have 2,500 shares, which is 25 contracts worth. Not only are you sitting on $120,000 in profit, but you're also, at this point in the cycle, you're also able to collect a stupid, absolutely retarded $12,000 in premiums with the 35 delta. This is not even at the money. Okay, this is assuming the price goes up to 80. So you would get another $30 in price appreciation times your 2,500 shares. I don't know what that is. It's like maybe 75,000 bucks. Plus, you also get $12,000 for the month in passive income, regardless of what the price does. Okay. So, and of course, you could also do puts on it too, as well. If your shares get called away, you could flip and do puts. I don't want to get too deep into this because, again, we have a lot of other stuff to cover here, but I can give you guys another example. This one does actually have a full price history that we can use here. So CONL, again, this is basically the Coinbase version of MSTU with a 2x leverage. So at the bear market low, well, this wasn't even the bear market lows, actually. This was back in January 2023, but it was pretty close, right? So we had our bear market lows back here in October 2022, okay? So you could have got this thing as low as $4 a share. Where did it peak out last time? $76 a share. But let's just say, for instance, that you bought it at 4 and it's currently sitting at basically the current price. Okay, so 33, so that's about an 8x on your money. Again, if you had bought $5,000 worth at $4 a share, you would have 1,250 shares. So you'd be able to do 12 options plays on this. Okay. And then if you were to do an 8x on your money, and this is assuming you don't want to be a native crypto, some people don't, because the whole, regulation and self-custody and all that, it's complicated, plus taxes, I wouldn't blame anybody for not wanting to do native crypto, but we like it. So, but if you're looking for the extra income, then obviously you'd have to be in the stock market. So you'd make $40,000, you'd be up $40,000 or $35,000 in profit in this case. Okay. Plus you would also have the 1,200 shares. And again, I don't think Coinbase is at all-time highs because, again, we have not seen Bitcoin at true all-time highs. Alt season hasn't happened yet. There's a lot that could take place, okay? So, again, we don't even have a 20 to 30 delta here because the price doesn't stretch high enough. But just to give you an example, okay? So if you had 1,200 shares that you bought at the bear market lows, you would be looking at, $4 to $44 is an 11x on your money, or you're already up roughly about $50,000 of profit without even selling. And the whole time while the price was rising, you could have done options on this and collected, in this case, $4,800 for the month of basically October. Okay. So there's some other positions I want to go over here that we can take a look at that we're considering buying at the bear market lows. There are reasons for this. Okay. So the bigger Bitcoin miner is probably not going to buy those. Well, maybe. I can't say for sure we're not going to buy them, but we may or may not buy them during the bear market lows. But just to give you guys an example of just how crazy these returns could have already been, if any of us had bought at the bear market lows, okay, so you see BTBT was at 50 cents. Where did it top out? $5. BTBT by itself, by that peak, would have already been a 10x. Again, a $5,000 investment, $50,000. Even a $1,000 investment would have turned into $10,000. Okay. So HUD 8 is another one we're looking at. You can see the bear market lows took a little bit longer to actually play out this time, roughly about December 2022, but it sat at roughly about $3. And the previous peak here was roughly about a 7x. Okay. The previous all-time high for HUD 8 was 84, so that's like almost a 30x return. And again, any of these miners could be applicable in this situation where you could basically just look to buy them at the bear market lows and then sell them at bull market highs, because again, the miners pretty much mirror the price of Bitcoin. Okay, all these ones that we've talked about, with the exception of CONL, mirror the price of Bitcoin. So it's relatively easy if you know that the Bitcoin bottom is in, then likely the Bitcoin miners bottoms are also going to be in too. But even if you caught, let's say, HUD 8 here at $6.62 and it dipped a little bit lower, and you're like, well, crap, I thought $6 was the bottom. Well, you could just buy some more down here. And again, this is pretty much at the bottom. How do we know? The RSI was oversold on the weekly time frame. All right, so another position that you could also do at the lows, and I don't know how long this one's actually been in existence, but it just goes to show you the power between options and buying the lows with the price appreciation, or even just simply buying something, even like the Grayscale Trust at all-time lows, and then just sitting on it, waiting for those bull market peaks. Some pretty powerful stuff. All right, so if I were just to go 30 days out, let's say on bitx, you can see the premiums here. This may be a better one to do on like a weekly time frame, I would think, but still pretty good, per contract, maybe around $200 a month. Yeah, it's about $200 a month. With that one, personally, I'd rather just do weeklies because they have them. But you can see, once again, bitx, not quite at the bear market lows, but when we were kind of before that price point that we took off to the upside, it was at $10. So let's assume this thing was at like $5 at the bear market lows, or maybe $2. $5 would have been a 10x, $2 would be a 25x at this point. You could have bought all your shares at the lows and then just did options on the way up for the passive income. Okay, you can see with the CONL, MSTU, and bitx, this is possible. You could also do this with the miners. For options, the better miners to pick, in my opinion, for the options would be CLSK, Mara, Riot, and HUD 8. I don't necessarily think the other miners are great to do options with. I don't know a lot about Iron. I will just say that. Okay, so last ones I want to go over here is, and of course you can see these are up again massively. We'll talk about this later. I'm not going to, I don't want to say too early that I told you so, but it does look like crypto wants to go higher. So you can see Bitcoin's almost at 68,000. Once it gets past 74,000, guys, that's it. The train has left the station and we are going to the moon, most likely. All right, so 30 cents down here, you can see the lows for BCHG. Now, just imagine if you had bought at 30 cents and sold up here at $24. Again, this is going to be almost impossible to do, but as a trader, what I like to do is try to catch roughly about 70 to 80% of the move. So maximum move here would have been an 80x. Even if you had just gotten a 60x and you put, let's say, $5,000 in, okay? Boom, $300,000. All right. So another example here, LTCN, we all know that the lows for this was roughly about that $2 area, and the highs was at 54, or I should say the local high. I don't think it's actually the all-time high. That would have been about a 27x. Again, if you just put a couple $1,000s in, which again is not really that much, 54,000. Okay. HSEN, same thing. And one of the reasons why we focus on HSEN so much is because every cycle, the underlying token has made new all-time highs. So that is important to consider too. So HSEN, you can see the lows here, roughly about 40 cents. The previous swing high, which again, I don't think that's going to be the actual swing high because, Horizon's barely done anything this cycle. So my guess is the all-time high for this Grayscale Trust probably is not it. Okay. So 1050 if I were just to calculate this out, 1050 divided by 40 cents, 20, you can see it's about a 26x. So even if you just put a couple $1,000 in, it'd be a $52,000 gain. You could build off of that if you didn't have a lot of money. If you have more money, obviously you can take more risk. And the same can be true about any of these trusts. And we will take a look at the newer trusts later on. I just keep forgetting about it, but we will. Another option that you could do is you could do the call debit spreads. I'll just go over this maybe briefly, okay? So we'll just pick a random one, okay? And again, theoretically, the best time to do this, in my opinion, is at the bear market lows. If you're going to do the call debit spreads, theoretically, you want to do it at the bear market lows, okay? Whether there's going to be enough options volume to make a significant trade on this at the bear market lows or not remains to be seen. That I don't know. But basically what I would do is I would want to take a position in one of the bigger miners because, again, they have more liquidity somewhere around the bear market lows. And I would want to probably, because the bear market lows should be somewhere around the end of 2026, which means that Bitcoin could go up all the way through the end of 2029 before having another bear market in 2030. So I would want to put this thing at least 2 years out. So if I got in at the end of 2026, let's say in October, I'd probably want to do October of maybe 2028, 2029. Okay. And I would want to pick a price that was high enough. Again, looking at the charts, making sure it can actually go that high. I'd want to pick a price that was high enough from that point to where I could probably get like at least a 10 or a 15x move. And these are leveraged plays. So you got 33 into 267. That'd be roughly about an 8x, which is not bad. If you put, let's say, and again, this is kind of extreme, but well, okay, maybe not that many. Let's say you put in a couple $1,000, okay? And again, do your own research on the call debit spreads. I can't tell you what to do, but I would highly suggest researching these if you're going to consider doing them before you actually do them, okay? All right, so you can see the potential gain here, even though it's not, many hundreds of thousands, relatively small trades. Still, you could turn 2,000 into 16,000. And in my opinion, the best time to get in to something like these is during the bear market lows, assuming the volume is there to actually do them. So, anyways, this is we also may consider picking some alts during the bear market lows too, but this is basically more or less what we're looking at for the lows, bear market lows in somewhere around late 2026. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.